Hi, I'm Tim Roble, and welcome to another episode of Adventure Athlete. Today I'm going to take you down the journey that I've been doing for the last year on my expedition truck build, which now I call an adventure truck. So this applies to anybody out there that's doing nomadic living or van life and you want to build a vehicle. Tips and tricks and things you want to know before you get started. So one of the first things I would say is to define what you want to do and how you want to live. Is your rig going to be a full-time living? Is that something you're going to transition into? Or is this just going to be something that's a weekender or a week or two out? For me, I had to define that before I got started because I had to know capacities and how long I wanted to be out remote. And then I had a guesstimate about what I would use for water. Speaking of water, I carry 14 gallons that is on a pump in the sink inside. Works off of 12 volt DC. While we're talking about 12 volt DC, I have a 250 amp hour battery and 300 watts of solar on the roof. And as you can see today, we are kind of gloomy skies, but let's go inside and take a look. So as we move inside, I'll start talking about the solar. That's probably a big issue in learning or defining how you and how much you want to put on the roof. So originally I had decided I wanted 400 watts of solar, so I bought 4 panels. I had the box van. If you watched that video, that was a pretty popular video. Terribly done, probably the worst video that I've ever done. But it had, I think I had like 200 watts on that, and it would run my refrigerator and freezer just fine. One of the things that you really have to think about when you're going to build something like this is you really need to think about your needs. So for myself, I knew I wanted a refrigerator and freezer. I already had this set up in an Overland build that I did before. But this is the Snowmaster Expedition series that I've kind of done a rustic. If you look inside, everything is a little rustic inside, and that's what I wanted. I wanted a cabin. I defined that I didn't want windows. When the weather's terrible, I wanted to be in here and be able to be warm. In the summertime, I knew that I had to insulate it, and I put in these Max Air fans in the forward so it can blow down on you and then suck out through that one. Now you can run these in any direction, and I would say that's something that you definitely want to consider in your build. I would put at least 1 if not 2 fans in a van build. Next thing is watch more videos like this. Now I did a complete build series on this truck, so you can watch step by step on how I built it, and lessons learned and what to kind of do and what not to do. I didn't really make a ton of mistakes. This isn't my first build, and I was well defined coming into this build. One, I knew I wanted to sleep overhead in the overhead bunk. It's long enough for me. This is on a piece of plywood. I pull this out about maybe a foot, and that gives me plenty of foot room in the back, and it actually makes for a nice relaxing deal. Back to our solar, you can see right now that even with the lights on in a gloomy day, I'm sitting at 14.0. Just a minute ago I was at 14.2. But something to think about. This is probably the most environmentally low footprint way to live. Of course, you're going to drive it on gas, but the trick is to really travel slow. So for myself on the road, I'm just back from a 23-day trip, and I've discovered that I really use a half a gallon of water a day. Now, as the temperatures start going up, I know that's going to be something I'm going to consume in between a half a gallon and a gallon a day. But one of the things to think about is to use other people's resources before you use yours. Meaning that, like, if you can get a drink out of a drinking fountain, take advantage of that. If you're out on a bicycle ride and you're at a park and you can fill up your Camelback with the water fountain, fill it up. I carry 14 gallons of water under the sink, and then I have these little stainless steel double insulated, let's see if we can actually get a good look at those. They're half-gallon jugs that I got at Walmart. And I used those to carry back and forth. When I was in Moab for 9 days, I made sure that I kept those topped off. And then a couple of times I went and just filled those up. And then underneath the sink is where I have my sink water. And I tend to drink this, but not all of the time. I kind of use that for just cleaning up a dish and going from there. Those of you that haven't seen the video before of the build and what's going on, this is my my stove that pulls out of the drawer. And then we'll look in here, and my food pantry has changed a little bit. I've pulled out all of the canned goods and went to the more expensive version, but this is stuff that I'm going to leave in here for emergencies, which is this Mountain House, and this stuff is good for like 15 years, and it'll take the heat. Yeah, this is, it's more than that. This is best before January 2049. So yeah, that'll last me the rest of my life as a survival food. And then I just keep stuff in here that's not affected by the weather. Kind of coming to another thing to talk about is just carry what you need inside here. If you notice, like I have 2 large plates and 2 small plates and 2 bowls, and then there's 2 cups, and I kind of stay with just, you know, it's me and my wife, 2 of everything. If we don't need it, I don't try to carry it. Here's the silverware drawer. It has 2 forks, 2 spoons, 2 knives, you know, a spatula. And this is my junk or build drawer also. So I keep batteries and straps and screws and hooks and different little things. I'm getting ready to hang shower curtain up in here. One of the things I discovered on that trip is that I need a shower. I need a place inside to take a shower. So I worked on that. Let's see if we can get some little better light on this. There we go. And I bought this little sprayer on the top here off of Amazon. And it came with like a weed sprayer, but it was made for like van life showering. And this is very, very, very economical on water, and that's what I wanted. Now, the heating element that I use is a EcoTemp, and I will be doing a full review on that. That's something that I've seen on several videos. If you're familiar with Bob Wells, the Cheap RV Living channel, I've seen some stuff on the EcoTemp, and I did go out to the RTR, and I spent a couple days, not as long as I would like to. Next year I'm going to do the full 14 days out there and go to all of the seminars, and I'll be reporting on that. So if that's something that interests you, or this way of life interests you, I definitely say check out some videos. I enjoy Campervan Kevin's videos. I think he does a really excellent job of showing day in the life of full-time RV living. The Adventure Van Man, he does a great job with great videos and showing kind of his little journey across the country. Nomadic Movement is another one. Emma and Beck. These are just people that I'm coming up with off of my top of my head. Max and Lee with Aki. Their dog, they travel. Now for myself, I don't travel with an animal. We have 2 dogs at home. And once again, I do this part-time, although I would like to do this more like half a year at times. So I do watch and consume a lot of good YouTube videos, and I've learned a lot. Trying to think, tiny house movement. That's another thing that really interested me in the beginning. But with the tiny house, you were stationary, and I didn't want to stay stationary. I wanted to be able to be mobile, so myself as an adventure athlete, I can go out and mountain bike, ride motorcycles, backpack, do the side-by-side, have more of that wanderlust way of life, that to travel slow and be able to just kind of, I'll say, when you get tired of a spot, you're ready just to move and just kind of move from that direction. So these are kind of things that I've learned along my way. Big things are is how long is your porta potty? I have the Thetford down below, and it's a 5-gallon. See if I can get this in here, right here. And how long does that last you on a trip? Once again, I try to use other people's resources first. If there's an outhouse available, I'll go use that. I get up in the middle of the night, I'm not going to go to the outhouse. So it's nice to have a bathroom in here. There's certain places that's just not available. I spent a couple nights in Las Vegas in a hotel parking lot. And I would try to go to the bathroom there, and then I had this set up at night. If I need to get up to go to the bathroom, then I would use this. So that worked out really well. Let's talk about equipment that you may want to have. This is that granite no stick. It just doesn't stick on the infomercial. That has been the best pan that I have used for this because it uses so little water. Talking about that little tiny house footprint, staying green and economical. I think that's a great way to do it. Although I do take a paper towel, which is down here, and I wipe that out. But it uses very little water. For environmentally friendly, I only use Dr. Bronner's soap. I use that for both my shower and my dishwashing. I have that set up in a little dispenser here. That's some of the things that you need to define. Like myself, I knew I wanted to use a porta potty for a bathroom. I knew I wanted, I used this before with that box fan video, the EcoTemp shower. Let's see if I can get that to illuminate a little better. It's hard with this light. You know, I knew I wanted good knives. I know I wanted more organization than I had before. This is my little coffee cell up here. It's everything I need to do a pour over coffee. That's my method. I don't use a press because I put a filter, and then I'll take this cup right here and I'll fill it up with water. I'll pour it into the kettle, and once again I'll probably just do a video on this so everyone can see what I do and how easy it is. And heat that up. When it boils, then I'll just do a pour over in this little cone deal right over here into my coffee cup, and I'll pour that through, and it makes for a nice and easy cleanup. That's what's the key here is for you to stay clean and have hygiene, and to keep your environment clean and not generate a bunch of trash. That being the next thing is, like when you go to the shopping center and you buy a tray of meat, I'll transfer that into a plastic Ziploc bag, and then I will leave that frame, that tray of meat, and that little self-absorbent pad that's got like the blood and stuff in it. I'll leave that at the market in their trash can, because here in mine it'll start to stink in about 2 to 3 days, and you don't want that in this little environment. Speaking of a little environment, this is probably as small as I can go and still be happy. When I'm in this, I never feel like I built something that was too tiny for myself or my wife. Now, my wife does have a conflict of opinion with that. She feels this is too small for us to live in full time. But I've been stuck in here for 3 days in a row with the weather terrible. The solar did a great job, even with gloomy weather and like, getting dark at 5:30 at night in the winter. Stuck in here, it's been great because I have a TV. I have the dish hopper, and it's made for tailgating, and it worked out really, really well. I pretty much put that in here because I know my wife in the morning enjoys some news and some coffee. And, you really have to define what's important to you. For me, having a good meal on the road is important. I did a full 23 days of keto. Did I cheat? Yeah, I did, but I don't look at it as I cheat myself because I do an intermittent fasting on this. So I would do the intermittent fasting as well as let's say a 99% keto diet. I do 2-3 days pretty strict keto. But I wouldn't eat my first meal until 1 o'clock. And then for the 9 days that I was in Moab, the only meal that I made was dinner, and that was keto. So I dropped about 6 pounds there. I'm pretty sure all of that was fat. You don't get a ton of exercise driving the Can-Am side-by-side, but not like you do like doing an extreme enduro on the motorcycle or riding the mountain bike out in the outback. But you do actually get a workout from the carb, but just not as much as that. So yeah, I did drop some weight. Keto is a nice, easy way to do that. If you're not familiar with the ketogenic diet, do some research on it. It looks like people live a little bit longer, and you know, don't quote me on all of this, but do your own research. And that's why I went to it. The intermittent fasting was something that increased life, and I feel better. I'm more passionate about life because I feel better when I get up in the morning. And not having my first meal to kind of bog me down. So they say breakfast is the most important meal, and I say it is to skip. So breakfast is the meal that I skip. I appreciate a nice dinner. I do have a cocktail with dinner, and that's another thing you want to define. You know, do you cook with spices? Where are you going to keep your spices? Do you like a bar? Is that something you don't need? You could use that space for something else. For myself, I cook with olive oil. And then I enjoy some type of spices on my food. Anyway, that's going to be it kind of for my tips and tricks and what I learned on this journey. Half a gallon of water a day, my porta potty, using their facilities first. I just dumped it and filled it up. I only went through 7 gallons of sink water in 23 days, but I did do some topping off and filling up on that on the road. I ate a lot less food than I thought, and what I learned also is I prefer frozen food like boneless, skinless chicken thighs. I prefer thighs over breasts, and hot wings and stuff like that. I prefer that in the freezer over than buying like a tray of pork chops. Like I bought a family pack of pork chops, but I had pork chops like 5 nights in a row because they were going to go bad, or I needed to freeze them, and there wasn't any more room in the freezer. So things to think about when you're actually buying stuff. I like fresh green vegetables, broccoli, ate a lot of asparagus, I ate a lot of garlic, a lot of onions. Of course, I was by myself, and you know, so the odor that's emitted from the eating so much garlic and everything is, you know, you're by yourself, who cares? Yeah, it was a nice journey, and this is just the first of a few videos that I'm going to do on this type of thing, but these are the ones that I wanted to really touch on that were really pressing on me for this video. So I'm going to leave this here now. I appreciate each and every one of you guys for watching. Thank you for your comments. You have any questions, you're just getting started in this, you want to hit me up and you know, pick my brain about something, please hit me up in the comments below. If you like this type of thing, please hit subscribe and that little bell so it'll send you a notification. For the month of June, I'm going to upload a video a day. I have a lot of content that I want to cover and kind of have some notes, and why it's fresh right now in my head from my trip. I want to get that out on video and share it with you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Tim Roble, and I'll catch you here next time.